All right, we're back here at the Court of Public Opinion. We're going to start a new subject entitled about social media etiquette. You can extend that out into every area why we emphasize etiquette. Emphasize. You cannot go wrong. Cannot go wrong with etiquette. You might be around people that don't have etiquette. That doesn't mean you don't want to go that direction. So let's try to think about what it is about etiquette that matters and why we have to unlearn bad habits. Bad habits that we might have picked up from other people, ourselves. You can roll out a lot of things by looking at your own behavior and what you can change about etiquette. Cell phone rules, there's a lot of them. I'm not going to go into a long laundry list, but we're going to list some of the things that you will find that might apply to social media etiquette. And one I cannot overlook about social media etiquette is unfriending. It is bad manners, bad manners. If you want to have good manners, you want to put it into application. You don't want to have a habit of unfriending. It's one that we've all learned from. It's bad. It's poorly. It's in poor taste. Unfortunately, too many people just race off and unfriend people, and we've all done it. And it's hurtful and it's mean. And it's one I learned how to learn not to take things personal or get upset. And it's one of those things you have to outgrow, I think. Okay, that's what I've learned from this, okay? And through making poor decisions through trial and error, no pun intended to the Court of Public Opinion, but through trial and error, we've made some mistakes on how exactly we approach topics without bringing out the worst in each other, you know? And by today's standards, we're looking at some of the things that bring out the worst in people. And sometimes if you say things that it's not complimentary to some people, it's going to come out and it's going to sound offensive and it's going to sound hurtful and mean. Offensive because we're taking the wrong approach, number one, and we can approach all topics with respect. We do not have to go down that dirty, long road and hurt people with these topics, okay? I'm going to make some examples, like this topic about Black Lives Matter. I never said Black Lives Matter, so in context, it's unfair, and it's not a good argument to base my decisions, but just in social media etiquette and going a step beyond that, the debate is what it is about Black Lives Matter does matter. It matters that people learn to respect each other, and I've not personally seen where people are going out of their way to be unfair to a degree. Now, I know there are people, but we're not going to make a generalization for a very small demographic, because by today's standards, I'd say most people are generally respectful of this topic. They don't like this topic because it brings out the worst in people. So I have a tendency to want to debate this at the Court of Public Opinion, because I think, with all due respect, it's not one of those very favorable topics. And I think there are kind, nice people that get hurt unfairly, okay? So when I talk about social media etiquette, these are the kind of topics that bring out some very uncomfortable feelings, and maybe it's meant for that, okay? But we can approach it. We can approach this topic with respect to that. We don't have to argue the point, but we want to make sure we want to go out of our way to be sensitive to those people that may have felt this way, okay? And if we do approach it like that, then we're showing more courtesy, we're showing respect, and we're being proper in our way to approach it fairly, okay? It's a very awkward topic because, unfortunately, a lot of people have this happen to them. They're presented with topics they're just not well informed about. So the fair way to say is, I don't know much about that topic. I do understand there is a debate, and there is a public debate about this, but I'm not quite comfortable with that topic, and I'm not quite sure about that, and I'd have to look into it more. This way, it disarms the person that may be attempting to maybe put you on the spot. And instead of putting somebody on the spot, on the other side of it, maybe approaching it in a way that people can at least attempt to say, well, I'm not very sure about that topic. And this applies to a lot of topics because social media is the place for this, okay? But in my everyday experience, I don't see where it may apply. I see that people are racing through life and they're rushing through the life, and all of us have done this, and it really steals your happiness and joy. And so we take our time and we look at the things that we can change, like, okay, bad behaviors at home, we can illustrate the point. We want to respect each other's bedroom and the space and their space at home. And everybody has their own bedroom, so the rule is that you're not allowed to go in each other's room without permission. And that's showing respect for one another, something that's hard to do if you have a large family. And the common area is one of those areas where everybody can hang out and talk, or not talk, But usually the sign is at home is if you're going in your room and you're shutting your door, that means you want some quiet time, or even go as far as putting a sign up and saying, we need quiet time, okay? That's an easy way to illustrate without arguing. I think that's called silent service. And we're going to talk about silent service because more people want silent service. And this is part of social media etiquette. You don't always have to respond to everything that everybody says. It's just you can like it and let's just move along. Some people will go a step further. They'll want to get into a debate and discussion, and some people are just not at that place. This is called courtesy. Courtesy is knowing that some people are not going to always keep up with everything you have to say. It shows that you have enough in you and enough fortitude and security within yourself that you don't always have to have the attention of one person. If you're one of those people that have to have a lot of attention, you might need to find someone that is close in proximity that you can spend more time with. And sometimes some people go as far as getting a counselor, somebody very supportive. But if you're one of those people that need more attention from somebody and you're not getting it, in all fairness, social media is the hardest place to get a lot of attention from somebody because our time is so limited, okay? And we're trying to manage it differently. And one of the things about social media is and put in an application is that I wanted to just exit it altogether, but I realized that's not possible. This is a part of our everyday experience nowadays, and this is what we engage in. This is how people engage in topics, and it's nothing wrong with that. But you have to have just as much as you have a starting point, you have to have an exit point. If I were the one that started a social media page, I would look for a start place and an exit place. So people could exit off social media and change gears. Social media is following us everywhere we go. And unfortunately, while there's a good need to have it, it's also hurting people in a way that it's interrupting people's lives. Not in the way that it should, okay? You have to have priorities, and priorities are important. And a lot of people know this. So this is just like more of the same. I mean, there's not enough time to keep up with everything. So social media is going to either it's going to die rock hard and it's not going to end well, or it can survive by people just saying, we need a start place and an exit point, okay? And I don't know that it's set up with that template. I would love to see that. And I would create a social page where there's an exit point, a start point. You can say open doors, shut this down, shut that down, unplug that, where people have better options. You cannot, unfortunately, just assuming that people understand. Not everybody's on the same page, have the same priorities. We understand that. And I know a lot of people that get uncomfortable with the topic on politics. They want to exit that discussion. There should be, like, in some cases, like a way that you can turn that off. You can unplug that without unfriending somebody, but maybe they're talking about topics that aren't pertaining to the things that matter to you. So you can have a filter for that. And I hope that at some point there will be more options and filters for people to just turn it on and turn it off, or unplug it and plug it. Because when you're plugged in, there's a lot to be that you might want to know about that person, but you don't want to, maybe it's not the topics that you're interested in. Maybe you want to get to know them better and you want to become better friends with them. I look at it this way. Social media etiquette is very helpful if you're just there to make friends. If you're looking for a date, or you're looking to meet somebody, go to a dating site, or ask them if they're in a dating site, or if they're interested in meeting up on a dating website. Social pages, one thing, dating sites, another. A lot of people, they'll hook up on a dating site, and you can meet friends. You can meet Facebook friends and maybe share something in common. One of the things that people have to realize is that by today's standards, are meeting people on Facebook, and this is common now. This is the way people meet and end up dating somebody. They used to make a big joke about Facebook marriages, but I think it does really apply in real life. Real people are really meeting people and they're really falling in love. So I don't think anything's wrong with that. But on the other side of it, most divorces by today's standards have something to do with social media. And not that it should be like that, but that's common. People, like exes, will hook up with people, and it happens, and they start dialoguing with one another, and before you know it, marriage, some people are married. I'll just share my experience. My ex-husband hooked up with his ex-girlfriend. I didn't see anything wrong with that, being as we were already separated, and I just think it's common now. I actually expect it. So but divorce and separation is another ball game for a lot of people. So, but if you've already been through this before, you're figuring it out, that this is where people meet and this is where people talk. And having cell phone etiquette is the next part of this, because we realize that while people might meet each other in social media, how do you approach this and have proper cell phone etiquette? Well, it's please and thank you. It's like, hi, how are you? I was wondering if you were busy, and if not, you can, factor me in and schedule me in on a time if you have a few minutes. This way, you're showing courtesy and respect to that person, and you know that they might have some priorities or other things going on, and that way you're not interrupting their time. Always taking the time to remember that you're the one that has to be courteous. You have to be the one to take the initiative. While you might have expectations that other people don't, that's not that they're purposely being disrespectful or they lack courtesy. It's just it's something that you learn over time, that people learn from each other. And this is the best way to learn, is that when you're courteous, you're showing people that, yes, I'm going to show you courtesy, and maybe they have a little to learn. There's nothing wrong. I don't think everybody comes fitly, nicely, tight in a wrap bow. It doesn't work like that. Real people have real conflicts, and there's things to learn and unlearn. So let's talk about learning those unlearned behaviors. Yeah, that one. That we're all in this area, and this is a struggle for all of us. It's like maybe you went and grabbed, like in my case, a sandwich, and you just ate it with your hands, and you're like shoving it in there. You want to learn to unlearn these bad behaviors at home. If you can unlearn this at home, you're going to be better out there. If you're saying please and thank you at home, there's 10 times chance that you're going to be able to apply the please and thank you out there. What you learn at home matters, like social skills, like being able to talk to your sister. If you're going to treat your sister really well at home, you're going to be able to do that out there. It really is practice before you go out there. So I'm really not angry at people for learning these bad behaviors, but you can unlearn them. How's that? That's the option. This is why you don't want to go out there unprepared. Because listen, gentlemen, you're going to win every time when you are polite and respectful. You can't lose in this one. Same applies for women. You will not lose when you show courtesy and some modesty. Okay, not everybody's perfect at this, but when you show respect, you're showing respect because you are the respectful person. It doesn't matter what the other person is doing or not doing. You don't want to be saying things that you're going to later regret. You got to be very careful that this is not about a status symbol, that this is not about who's more classier than the other. Showing politeness is on all levels and all ages and all races and genders. We can all agree that if we could put some social media etiquette and we could have put some application in it, boy, what a difference people. Courtesy is amazing. When you have courtesy for others, you're not going to get caught up in these debates. When you show courtesy to others, you're not worried about what the next social media feed topic buzz on who's social injustice. The real social injustice is showing more respect to one another. That's the real injustice, because if more people don't go out of the way to point out the obvious, then we are in a position to teach each other. And I can't think of anything that's more wonderful than teaching people to unlearn bad behaviors. How about this? Kids pick up smoking from their parents. People pick up bad habits living in the same home. So if one home might have some bad habits where another might have, everyone has learned some bad habits along the way. Okay, do you sit there and finger point them, or do you take them aside and say, listen, we could learn how to do this better. We could be more encouraging. We don't have to be a part of the problem. We're part of the solution. And all these things I think about social media. I think you can create a great experience. A lot of people get into being angry and having an attitude where an attitude doesn't really effectively change. If you ever really want to be effective and have an attitude, get an attitude of gratitude that maybe that's not you, but like your choices are your choices, and you can be effective by showing some encouragement. And most people, they're in a position where nowadays their job title actually puts them in a situation where they can actually change the attitudes. Look at the direction and how negative people can get. And it's all because of a lack of courtesy for one another. It's not really about social class. It's not about social justice. It's about just showing common courtesy again. I bet you any money, most of our problems could be solved by simply showing common courtesy. You can go to the gas tank or you can go knock on your neighbors. But if you don't show the other person common courtesy, that's on you. Okay? So this is how you learn to do better. And we're going to talk about more in part 2 about common courtesy. But you'll want to stay tuned for that. Happy Valentine's Day weekend, and put these useful things to work.